today we're going to talk about caregiver fatigue and how important it is if you are a caregiver to someone with dementia and or Alzheimer's that you take care of yourself, because so often folks are so caught up in watching their loved one decline, if you will, or managing their care, that you forget to take care of you. And it's a tough job. And if either of you are doing that right now, I'm sure you understand that. So I hold a support group once a month in Weymouth. We're right on 18. I have folks that live at my place. Their spouses may come, or their children. And then folks that I'm working with that aren't sure if they want to place their loved one. And even folks, you don't have to place your loved one to come to my support group. It's all about educating the public. It's a very evil disease. 1 in every 6th person is being diagnosed as we speak. The median age 5 years ago was 80 to 85. Today it's 65 to 75. I'm not exactly sure why that trend has changed. However, if they're under the age of 70, it's very progressive. If you're over the age of 80, it's a slower progression. I have a woman with us, she just turned 106. She came to us when she was 100 years old. And she's no better, but she's no worse. She could not live on her own because she was forgetting to eat, forgetting to take her meds, not bathing. But if you came in to visit me and saw her, you would ask, why is she there? She's a little bitty thing, in very good shape, got a great personality. However, she has dementia. But because she was 96, I believe, when she was diagnosed, it hasn't went in any other direction. Like I said, negative or positive. Her children are all out of state. She has a daughter in California, a son in Utah. But we had the mayor of Weymouth there for her 106th birthday and gave her a citation, and she's trying to kiss the mayor and dance with them. And so there is something to be said, and I'm not just saying this as the marketing person of my community, that folks with the disease thrive better in a community. Because a husband or a wife or a son or a daughter think they can do it, but they have a life too. So what they do is get up, give their loved one, breakfast, and then sit them in the living room in front of a television, maybe, and they'll watch TV, and they're sleeping off and on all morning. Then it's lunchtime, then back to that chair, their favorite chair in the living room. And believe me, there's no rights or wrongs with that. It's an emotional connection, and I have folks, a gentleman who's moving his wife, and they've been married 66 years. And he has cried in my office because he doesn't want to do it, but his children are saying, Dad, you can't keep up at this pace, because she is declining. And every other day, it's something more that he needs to do. And she's incontinent. And then when you think about it, your daughter wouldn't want to change you. I wouldn't want my son changing my diaper when I'm 70 or 80 or even 90. So there's something about dignity with this disease. If the folks can afford it to put them in somewhere, what I tell people is become their husband again, or become the wife again. Let us do the grunt work, and you come and have that visit and enjoy a stay, or take the person out for an ice cream, or take them out to dinner, bring them back, and let us deal with those if there are behaviors. If, they're incontinent. I have one gentleman at my community that just walks around and urinates wherever he wants. It's the disease. The wife is horrified of that. He just walks around and does that. He'll go to a plant, or he'll go to a wall, and housekeeping's following him around, but not everybody does that either. So everyone's journey with this disease is totally different. I have not yet seen 2 identical folks that have it, that have the similar behaviors, aggression. Some folks get aggression, some folks don't. There's people who are not happy their whole life, and now they're the belle of the ball. And then there's people who are happy-go-lucky, and they're the meanest person you ever want to speak to. So again, scientists, and they try to figure it out, but again, not to get analytical into it, but depending on what side of the brain it is and depending what dementia it is, because there's vascular dementia, there's alcohol dementia, there is Lewy body, there's frontal lobe. And people think Alzheimer's, it's one of the dementias under that umbrella. So there's so many, there's Parkinson's dementia. More often than not, folks that are diagnosed with Parkinson's, eventually it goes into the disease of dementia as well. And those, along with Lewy body and frontal lobe, anything in the front of the brain, causes aggression and behavior. If it's in the back of the brain or on the right side of the brain, you could have dementia and not, be combative. You just forget 5 minutes ago what you did. So there's all kinds of studies. There is a new med out that is known to help slow the progression, not cure the disease. Aricept, when this all came about 15, 20 years ago, Aricept was the pill, and they come to find out that Aricept hasn't done a whole lot. The other thing that helps a lot of folks with this disease, if they have upside down sleep patterns and they're not sleeping at night, is melatonin, little gummy melatonins. I have some folks that give them gummies from the CBD, I guess, to help them sleep. Because what's happening is they're still in here, they just can't verbalize it any longer. I have folks that, I know my residents, so I'll know if someone's, unhappy by the behavior that they're doing. Or our nurses will know if someone's in pain because they can't really speak it or say it, but they're in there. You just got to find a way to get to it. And that's very difficult. And again, education and coming to support groups and learning the more about the disease, the better it will be if you're a caregiver to someone. A lot of spouses lose their patience with their spouse. One gentleman stayed after at my support group a few months back, and he was sad, and he said, "I have to tell you, I yelled at my wife." And I said, "Forgive yourself. It's okay. It's a tough job. She's not going to remember, but he does." And that's hard to say, but she's not going to remember 5 minutes ago that Harry yelled at her, So there's a lot of dynamics that goes with this disease, unfortunately. And my goal today is to just remind you, if you are a caregiver, that there is a thing called caregiver fatigue, and you might be so caught up in taking care of your loved one that you don't even realize you have it. So it can happen to any caregiver at any time, sometimes referred to as caregiver burnout. Caregiver fatigue occurs when a caregiver feels physically and emotionally exhausted. And I like to say it's more emotionally exhausted that folks get. If you're not lifting them out of a bed to a wheelchair to the restroom, you're not really doing physical stuff. It's more emotional. And set that aside, it's emotional for the caregiver because you're worried sick about the person you love and you want them taken care of in the best way. My philosophy is when someone brings their wife, mother, father, whoever it may be, to me, I always say we will never take as good care of him or her as you would, but we will come as close that we can, because it's your wife or husband of 50 years, it's your mother your whole life or your father. So people are afraid of it, but I've noticed in the last couple of years people are more open to it. And many, many folks that I've worked with over the years and I've had the liberty to work with have said after the fact, I don't know why I didn't do this sooner. Something to be said, because it gives them a break. I have a lady who just brought her husband. She said they never even raised a voice to one another, and she was the caregiver for the last 3.5 years. And he was yelling at her. She goes, he yelled at me every day, and then she, of course, was yelling back at him. She came to me all stressed out. Her kids said, Mom, it's time, you gotta do it. She didn't want to, she was the wife, I'm gonna take care of him, till death do us part. And she brought him, and he's been with us maybe 3 weeks now. She looks like a new person. And I see her, she comes in, has lunch with them, and I'm like, how are you doing? And she's like, I'm great. And she's like all dolled up, and she's going with her friends to the mall or out to lunch. Things that you wouldn't do because you don't want to leave that person alone. At the end of the day, there's resident rights in Massachusetts. We're regulated by the EOEA. So at the end of the day, anybody who has dementia and or Alzheimer's or any form of a dementia, there has to be a power of attorney in place. So if anyone's thinking of doing that, go speak to your lawyer or whatever and make sure that's in place, because once they go into a memory care, they're deemed incompetent to make their own decisions. So that's where the power of attorney comes into place, the healthcare proxy, so that you can make the decisions. We cannot take someone in if they don't have either of those documents, because it would be like we just took this person in and they had no idea that they were coming. I have a dear friend who's battling this disease. She's 86, she's at home, her son's in Florida. He will not listen to me. And this is what I do every day. It's not about a sale, it's about making sure the person's safe. And what I tell most people is don't wait for a crisis. Because I had one gentleman when I worked in Hingham that was taking care of the wife, and he was sleeping, and she got out and got in the car in their driveway. She drove all the way from Hingham to Connecticut, was picked up, she was going back where she lived. She knew, to drive. She didn't make it to where she lived. The police picked her up, and then they told him, Elder Services got involved, because now they're saying she's not safe, even with the husband there. And the poor guy, he's like, I closed my eyes for 10 minutes and she was out. So I like to say don't wait for a crisis, because then that gets really messy. And the big thing is, they don't come walking in saying, I'm so happy to be in memory care today. 90% of them fight it, don't like it, I don't belong here, these people are older than me, why am I here? But I guarantee you in 7 to 14 days, it changes. We engage them, they're doing activities, we have them on a solid routine, up, breakfast, shower, mass, whatever it may be, exercise, and visit the therapy dog. Then you're having lunch, and then we have a courtyard, we take them out back and do an activity. Then they have quiet time from 2 to 4, where they might just do word games or something, out loud with an activities person. Then they get ready for dinner. But you'd be amazed. The woman I just moved in from the Cape, that's my age, which is 64, was so upset at her niece. And I tried to guide the niece, but I can only, it's her aunt. So I recommended that she brought her for lunch the day that she was moving her in, sat and had lunch with her, and then, but told her it was temporary, that the niece was going away. It's called a fiblet. We told a fiblet, it's a lie. And that she would worry about her. So let's put you in this place. You have 3 meals a day, entertainment. It's like the Love Boat. And I'll come back. Well, she brought her. She never told her she was staying that day, and kind of told her while she was in my community, which wasn't good. The woman's my age. Again, half in, half out. She went ballistic when I tell you. Today, there's 3 guys there on my first floor. She's walking around giving them muffins. She adjusted. You adjust, and it's sad, but I've seen it repeatedly over and over. That's what happens. I mean, I haven't had anybody that's come and they moved them out because they didn't want to be there. They might have moved them out because they went to hospice or had to go to a nursing home. Because again, we do an assessment, and what that person is today can change, like switching that light off, putting that switch down. And the other thing is, we can keep folks till end of life. We do allow hospice to come in. But again, look at my 106-year-old woman. She's been there 6 years. No better, no worse. And I have other folks like that, not her age, but 5+ years. When I started 7 years ago in memory care, the average stay was 2 to 5 years. Now it's 5 to 10. The medical field's keeping them healthier. B, they have so many medications now, and I believe it's something to be said, not just my community, because I've had the opportunity to work with several great communities on the South Shore with memory care. There's something to be said about that. If you took your car today and put it in your garage and didn't start it for a month or two, it's not going to really start. So if you take someone and they go from their bed to the bathroom to the living room and they sit, there's no stimulation, there's no, engagement. And again, you're doing the best being the caregiver and taking care of that person, making sure they're clean and fed, but they're not getting that. And I have a gentleman who was the dog officer, and he's an amazing guy. I took him around walking Sunday around my building, and we saw a car, and I wonder what type of car that is. I didn't know the emblem. And he says, geez, I don't know, Lynn. So we did our little walk. We were talking about the birds and the trees and whatever. When I went into work yesterday morning, he's always at a table having breakfast with two other gentlemen. And he always says good morning to me. And he said, Lynn, that car was a Tesla. And he was right. He's been with us 4 years. No better, no worse. He sings when people come in. He can have a full conversation. But I think it has something to do. He had 2 sons. The sons aren't going to be the caretaker of him. So they put him in, and he's happy. You know what I mean? So not everyone's happy, but I'll tell you, it fades. They become complacent with it. And families have taken them home, and they're saying, I gotta get back. That's the routine that it becomes for them. So anyway, back to caregiver fatigue symptoms: withdrawal from friends and family members, spending more time alone, lack of motivation at work or at home, missing appointments, avoiding your responsibilities for yourself, having trouble falling or staying asleep, feeling of depression, helplessness, irritability, resentment toward the person you're caring for, possibly resulting in wanting to hurt them. And this, it's a true thing. Like I know, I can go remember when my children were little, 40 years ago. You're up all night, and I had a colicky. One of them was colicky, and he wouldn't sleep. And I can remember pacing the room with him and just saying, his name's Kevin. Kevin, please stop crying. I just want to, and you get to a point like you're human. So again, there's 6 tips to help prevent caregiver fatigue. The number 1 is ask for help. You can't do it alone. You shouldn't do it alone. And you should have, if you have children, if your wife or your husband has siblings or nieces or anyone that's willing to even come sit for an hour so that you can take a drive and just get out of it for a minute. Important. And then there's contact your local agency on aging for more information. This particular article that I'm looking at is from CareForth. You can go online. I didn't pass this out. This was like my opener, just to go, over it. But eldercare.acl.gov. It's a public index. Do you want to write that down? And it's amazing with the resources that they have. So it's eldercare.acl.gov/public/index. And then another big thing that a lot of folks aren't aware of, there's a thing called respite care. But it is a minimum of 30 days. It's temporary care to help provide relief for the caregiver. I've had many people do it. I have a daughter who put her father in 6 months ago. She was doing it for 30 days, and each month she's like, Lynn, I'm gonna do another 30. She sees he's okay. She trusts us now. He looks good. She has a whole family, and children. And it's working for her. She just emailed me before I left and said, we're gonna do one more month, possibly 2. So he'll be there 7 months. Look into government-provided respite care programs. They are out there. I don't know what type of places you go to for that. Like I said, unfortunately, we're private pay, and 95% of any memory care are private pay. However, if your spouse was a veteran or you're a veteran, there is a VA benefit. Even if you're taking care of them at home, you're entitled to that. Folks don't know it. The VA doesn't send out a letter saying, hey, are you taking care of a loved one? You're entitled to this amount. It's out there. I have that contact as well. You can also enlist friends, family, and members to take over every once in a while to give you the needed away time. Big one is talk with supportive friends and family. Talk about it. It's a disease, you know, and it's okay. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to say I'm tired. It's okay to say that I don't want to do this anymore. You know, you're human. Sure, your spouse wouldn't want you doing it, you know. I wouldn't want mine to have to go through that with me. If you're feeling overwhelmed, speak up. Let friends and family members know. Don't assume they'll automatically know how you're feeling. This is a big one. Nobody understands it unless they're in the midst of it. Your best friend, your neighbor, oh yeah, I know, it must be hard, Bob. Nope, you really don't get it, because they don't get it. I see it times 53 people every day. And I have folks that come into my office that are 90 and say, I got to get the bus home. My mother has dinner on the table. This is, you know, they go way back. Or I have to get my children off the bus, and their kids are 60 years old. So it's a lot to manage, and it takes a toll on you, and you may think you're resilient and you made a stale, but it's going to catch up. And more often than not, if the person's 75 or 80, the spouse is that age. We're not young anymore. We're not like we used to be, that we could, you know, sleep 2 hours and be fine the next day. No. So there's all these factors that go into the caregiver fatigue, and without you even realizing it, because you're just worried about each day, getting through today. He's safe, she's clean, she ate today. So take care of yourself. Self-care is essential for keeping yourself healthy. It's necessary if you want to provide excellent care for your loved one. Make time to do things that you enjoy and keep you energized. Listen to music, take a walk, spend time with friends, or just sit quietly. Just go out in the yard and sit for 30 minutes and listen to the birds and hear the leaves on the tree blowing. Staying active can go a long way to help you feel better throughout the day. It combats sluggishness and keeps you working at peak performance. Find ways to move your body, walk, dance, run, anything that brings you joy. Eat well. Strive to eat nutritious foods, fruits, vegetables, and stay hydrated. If you have a medical condition that is impacted by what you eat, like diabetes, congestive heart failure, be sure to talk to your doctor before making changes. And then this is just activities for people with dementia. 10 expert tips for daily activities and routine. Routine provides a sense of control over your day and your environment, especially for those in the early stage of the disease. For those in the end stage of dementia, many of these activities are often one of the few ways they can still engage their memories and communicate. So be sure to avoid activities that may be too challenging or frustrating. I had a gentleman that, you know, I use him as a case study, that said he gets her up, gives her a cup of tea, sits her in the living room, she stares at the TV, watches The Price is Right, she dozes off throughout the day. I don't know, you know, what to do. I said, well, what did she do? Did she have a career? She was a stay-at-home mom. So I said, he's doing the laundry, he's doing this. I said, go in that linen closet and take every folded towel out and throw it, ruffle it in a laundry, and put it beside her and let her sit there and fold. He called me to say it was a game changer for him. It kept her awake, it took her quite some time, and she didn't fold it how we'd fold it, but it gave her a purpose, you see? I have another woman, her husband was a carpenter, and they have this thing, if you go on the Alzheimer's site, it's a board, I don't know if you've seen it, anybody, and it has like a lock, I don't know what type of lock, but it slides, and then it has a thing that turns. It's like a busy box for children, However, because he was a carpenter, he used his hands all the time. The wife got him that. Game changer. When he's aggravated or aggressive towards her, it's because he's saying, what am I doing? I'm sitting here. Like, he can't say that out loud. So there's these little things. You get creative. Another guy said his wife loved to cook. I go, did you ever think to stand in the kitchen with her and guide her? Like, measure the stuff? And he's like, and he did it. And she could do it. You'd think they can't do these things, but it's called cueing and showing them. And it's in them. If that's what they love to do, they still know how to do it. So, again, without, it's not a lot of things that you need to do, but these little subtle changes can change your day, by just adding them. From changes to one's daily routine, music, art project, brain games, exercise, outdoor activities, there are many ways to make positive changes through all the stages of dementia. Consider the following: day-to-day routine improvements. One of the easiest ways to add activity to a person's life is by incorporating new tasks and activities into daily routine. Visit somewhere familiar and pleasant. Create daily activities to mimic their former work life, you see. Don't be afraid to talk about the past. Another big thing that they love, if you have photo albums, I know I still have all my children's growing up because I had them 40 years ago. The kids nowadays don't have a photo album. You look at it on a phone. But they love looking through the photo albums. And they remember. They'll remember. So that's an activity that you can do. And you don't have to spend money to do it. You just got to get creative in ways to engage them. So that's that, and now I'm going to go quickly into this. Caregiver stress tips for taking care of yourself. Caring for a loved one strains even the most resilient person. If you're a caregiver, take steps to preserve your own health and well-being. As the population ages, more people are doing caregiving. About 1 in 3 adults in the United States is an informal or family caregiver. And that's the big thing. The way the economy is now, it's crazy. The price of food, the price of gas, and people are like, I'm not going to pay that money to put my loved one in to a place, which I get it. Because I'm a baby boomer, I spend my money. I tell my kids, there's no money there. I don't have long-term insurance, so God forbid, if the day comes, where am I going? Because I can't pay $8,000 a month privately to be well taken care of at a memory care facility. And I think that's with a lot of the baby boomers. The people from the 30s and 40s that I was used to working with bought a house in 1940 for $5,000 and sold it today for $500,000. And that's the money they're using. Baby boomers, I didn't buy a house in that year. I did buy a house in 90 and then sold it, but it wouldn't have been worth that today. So again, it's tough the way the world's going, but if there is a long-term insurance, if there is a VA benefit, and if there is some money, I'm telling you, it's money well spent. People, come to me. It's a blue-collar area that I'm in Weymouth. I have anyone from school teachers to engineers to pipe fitters. The disease takes no prisoner. It doesn't. It's not biased. It's all walks of life. They don't know why, who, what, and when about it, as far as who's going to get it and why you get it. I have a lady who, her mother, her father, she has it. She has 2 sisters and a brother. They don't have it. Do you know what I mean? So it's not, you can't just say, okay, 3 people in her family had it, she's destined to get it. Not so. Not so. Caregiving has many rewards. For most caregivers, caring for a loved one feels good and it can make your relationship stronger. But the demands of caregiving also causes emotional and physical stress. It's common to feel angry, frustrated, worn out, or just plain sad because you're mad. I had a lady who moved her husband in. We could have stood on our head and did cartwheels down Route 18 and she wasn't happy. You know what it was? She was mad at the disease that her husband was young and that happened to him. And I saw it, I knew it. We did everything that she asked. She spent the money to bring him in, and she came every day. And she wanted to help him with the shower, and then she's at the meals with him, and I'm like, why are you paying this money if you're gonna be here? And not that you can't be there, but she wouldn't let us do our job, what we know to do. We're all trained, all my aides are certified. It's what we do every day. But at the end of the day, she was angry, and I don't blame her. She was very angry that God made this happen to her husband at a young age and took him from her, you know? So that's the emotional part of it. And it's common to feel alone during this, you know? And you know the saying, when you're on top, everyone's there in a parade with you. And when you go down, where is everybody? You know, and same with this disease. People are afraid of it. People don't understand it. So they're better to stay away because they don't know what to say to you or how to help you. But you're the one that needs to ask for the help and reach out if you need it. Caregiver stress can put caregivers at risk of changes in their own health. Factors that can increase caregiver stress include caring for a spouse, living with a person who needs care, caring for someone who needs constant care, feeling alone, feeling helpless, money problems, spending many hours caregiving, having too little guidance from healthcare professionals. I'm sorry, no disrespect to the healthcare professionals, but you know how the medical world is now. You have to be your own advocate. I mean, I go in and if I don't ask or mention, they're never gonna know. You know, I'm turning 65 and they're supposed to do, it's a test that they do. I don't know if either of you had it, a cognitive test. My doctor hasn't mentioned it once. Everyone at 65 is supposed to have a cognitive test done. Yeah, and it's questions and it's remembering, yeah. And granted, I go in July and I'll be 65 before then, so I'm hoping she tells me, but at the last visit, she didn't even mention it. She's probably 12, no, but she's young. And, you know, I have to go on the portal and ask for this and that. And it's just, so again, little guidance from the healthcare professional. They don't know unless you tell them. They're only as good as the info you provide. And they can only help you and guide you if you open up and share what it is that's going on in your world. Having no choice about being a caregiver, not having coping or problem-solving skills, and feeling the need to give care at all times. So these are some signs of caregiver stress. As a caregiver, you may be so focused on your loved one that you don't see how it affects your own health. The signs of caregiver stress include gaining or losing weight, becoming easily irked or angry, in other words, being short-tempered, losing interest in activities you used to enjoy, just plain feeling sad, having frequent headaches or other pains or health problems. It says misusing alcohol, drugs, including prescription medicines, missing your own medical appointments. Too much stress over time can absolutely harm your health. As a caregiver, you might feel depressed or anxious. You might not get enough sleep, or you think you're getting enough sleep, but you're not, because you're probably sleeping with one eye open throughout the night. And, you know, is she going to get up? Is he going to get up? Are they going to fall? All of these increase your risk of health conditions such as heart disease and diabetes. Tips to manage: ask for and accept the help. Make a list of ways in which others can help you. You know, even if it's as simple as you could no longer take the person that you're caring for to the supermarket and you ask a neighbor, hey, you're retired, could you sit for an hour while I go to Stop and Shop? And you can just have an hour to yourself and go up and down the lanes. You're not taking someone out of the car, putting them in the car, worried, you know, come this way. No, don't walk that way. Think about that. You do it automatically. You're on autopilot. You don't realize how it could affect your well-being. Focus on what you can do. At times you might feel like you're not doing enough, but no one is perfect. Believe that you're doing the best you can. Set goals that you can reach. Break large tasks into smaller steps that you can do one at a time. Make a list of what's important. Follow a daily routine. Say no to requests that are draining, such as hosting meals for holidays or other occasions. If you can't do it, you can't do it. And, well, you've done it for 30 years. What do you mean I'm not doing it? Say no. N-O is a sentence. I don't know if you realize that. Join a support group. Support groups, there's nothing better than sitting in a group with folks that are going through exactly what you're going through. There's something to be said. Every time I have one or two of the folks that are in attendance will leave and say, wow, I'm so glad I came because, this one shared a story and I felt the same way. And like I said, people that aren't doing it can't relate to you. They can't. They have they don't know what they don't know. Take care of your health, seek social support, stay connected with your family and friends. A lot of people want to alienate them because what I find too is children will come to me, just say their mom has it, but their father just passed a month ago. And they're like, I say, how long ago was she diagnosed? And they'll go, she was diagnosed 6 months ago, but I think she had it for 5 years and my dad was hiding it. And that's what you do as a spouse. You don't want to burden your kids. I can do it and I can take care of them, but then he passed before her. Seek health care professionally. Get your vaccines, all that. Make sure you stay up with your physicals and so forth. And then the in-home respite, healthcare aides come to your home and spend time with your loved one or give nursing services or both. There's a thing too, if you call your local library or South Shore Elders, which I'm not sure if they're still up and running. There's been stuff going on. For resources, there's volunteers that will come. That are checked out credentially that can come for an hour or two. Do some light housework, maybe do 2 loads of laundry for you, maybe start dinner, and then you're just sitting there relaxing, and it's a game changer. Adult care centers, those are great too. I don't know if you've heard of the adult day programs. There's so many of them now. And we had one lady who her husband took her until he brought her to me, and he used to tell her she was going to work. She thought she was going to work every day. And when she went into the adult day, they'd give her a task to do, and she went home and she slept at night, So you just got to get creative and think out of the box. Short-term nursing homes, some assisted livings, memory care homes, and nursing accept people who need care for short stay. And again, that's what I'm talking about, the respite. And then working outside the home, caregivers who work outside the home can feel burdened. If this describes you, think about taking a leave from your job if you can afford to do so. The Family Medical Leave Act, people can do that if you're still working. And you can get up to 12 weeks unpaid leave if you can afford to do it. Speak to your human resource. And then you aren't alone. Ask for help you need. Besides asking family and friends, use local resources. To start, check out the National Elder Locator. There's another one, Aging and Disability Resource Center. And there's just so much out there. Like if you Google, dementia or Alzheimer's, and then it will just give you sub-pages of places to go. That's where I have my book of all my stuff that I research, and I'm a reader. So I love learning new stuff, but I also get certified every 2 years as a certified dementia practitioner, but we also have training at my work. We have to do 10 hours out of 12 hours per year, mandatory for us, including my aides. So that concludes my caregiver fatigue.